Mordant McFall, and welcome to the other side of live.
This is where you say, welcome to the other side of live. I'm your host, Mordant McFall. Hello? Yes? No? Sir?
You hear me?
Can you hear me?
Well, hello everybody in the No Agenda
Where are
stream.
you?
I'm not sure if we've started already, haven't started already,
Are you
or
putting it
what
off?
is going on.
Is that what you're doing?
But I've lost contact
No,
with
seriously, dude.
Charles
What are you
somehow. So let's begin again by saying welcome to the other side of live. That's right, the #1 late night motivational morning show. Tonight's working title is Yesterday You Said Tomorrow, and I want to start off by saying, in the morning, No Agenda stream. Last week we spoke about being in it to win it. It was episode number 42, and we actually had Ronnie Rocks and Bevan in the studio with us in the Bear's Den. Charles McFall is now in the Bear's Den, but unfortunately we are separated by a great distance. I am currently in Gastonia, North Carolina. Everything is green for go. And you can hear me, so I'm going to keep pressing on. I'm going to let you know that in just a couple of weeks, on Tuesday, May 29th, the day after Memorial Day, we are actually going to have the other side of live meetup in Marietta, Georgia. We're going to be having it at the Tabula Rasa Health and Fitness Center. There in Marietta, Georgia, and of course we will put up a link for that. So if you want to come into the studio and be able to listen to all of this stuff that is going on and see it live instead of just watching me shucking and jiving, trying to figure this out, that would be great. And we would definitely like to have you there. So make sure, put that on your calendars, May 29th. Tuesday for the live Tosol meetup in the Atlanta area. Now, of course, on the Saturday before that, we're having the Bear Crawling No Agenda meetup at the Georgia Renaissance Festival. That is Saturday, May 26th of Memorial Day weekend. And you can all come out and play with us and have a great time with us. And tonight's show is Yesterday You Said Tomorrow. And I got the idea from this because I saw a Nike ad, and it's for a Nike ad. They put it on this big grain silo, and it just says just that. Yesterday you said tomorrow, and it was so profound to me. It affected me so much. Everybody's like, oh yes, I'll do that tomorrow. I will go ahead and write that book tomorrow. I will go ahead and take piano lessons tomorrow. I will go ahead and fix my Skype tomorrow, because it doesn't seem to be working today. And yet tomorrow never comes. We all know that. Those promises are just vain things that we make to ourselves, that we put it off on our own self, and it's just like, no, that is not the way it goes. That is not the way it works. All right, I think we've got everything back. Charles McFall, are you in the studio now?
I'm on the cell phone.
Why don't you go ahead and get off your cell phone and try the other thing, because I think we've fixed everything here. Mr. McFall, are you there?
I'm trying.
There you go. Please, everybody, a big round of applause for Charles McFall. Finally making it back. It's so nice to have you back here in the studio with us. So, as we were saying, yesterday you said tomorrow. Now, for me, a lot of this happened, a lot of this, thinking about what I wanted to do this week, to talk about this week. I went to the Renegade Life Roundup, which it was a speaking panel at the Tabula Rasa Health and Fitness Center, where there was me and 3 other people speaking about, for them it was health and fitness, and for me it was more about taking care of those things that whatever it was in your past, that, you used to be a certain way, maybe you were physically fit, or maybe you were an athlete in high school, or maybe you're whatever, and looking back on that and going, oh, I'm not that today, so not wanting to do, not wanting to deal with it anymore, and what those changes meant to you. And it segued out of the health and fitness arena and more into what causes us to hold ourselves back, et cetera. And we just had a great time. There are 4 of us on the panel. We've recorded it, and hopefully we're going to turn it into a podcast or something you can listen to. But it went really, really well. To my right was Sheena Hunter, who is a fitness trainer as well as a competitor. And she had talked about how she had just gotten back into everything again, and that even though fitness was her life, her getting up at 4:30 in the morning. She's like, I don't really want to do that very often. But what she did to keep going on was she kept she kept getting dressed and getting ready, even as she was trying to talk herself out of it. And then she would go to the gym. Of course, this whole past week I haven't gone to the gym, and I've had a hard time getting back into it. And to my left was Hope Hughes, who had put on the Renegade Life Roundup. And she said the same thing. She goes, it's been a while since I've been doing this. And even though I'm a health coach, I'm having to deal with my own inertia going the other way to be able to get back into things again. And I asked her, well, what time did you get up? She goes, well, I always get up at 5:30. And I was like, well, I haven't worked out this week. And I'm thinking this in my head. I haven't worked out this week. Maybe tomorrow, even though it's a Saturday, even though it's a work day, I'll get up and I figured out the time. I'll get up at 6:30 or I'll get up at 6 o'clock. And if I can get there by 6:30, there's plenty of time to go to the festival. Nah, I'm not going to do that. So believe it or not, I woke up without my alarm. I woke up at 5:55 and I'm lying there going, oh, I could go to the gym, but I don't know if I want to. And what happened, long story longer, I wound up going to the gym. I wound up getting dressed even as I was trying to talk myself out of it. And I went to the gym, and I got there by 6:30, and I go up, and they're closed. They're not open. Actually, a guy comes to the door, and he's like, we open at 7. So I'm going back to my car, and I'm like, well, I could just go home, or I can sit here and play on my phone until 7 o'clock, and I did. And I went in and I worked out, and I worked, I think, 3 muscle groups, and I got home in time, and I got to the festival in time, and everything was fine. And I really felt good about myself and what this long story and what that event did for me. It showed me another way of being. It's like, I can get up really early in the morning if I want to do this, or I can get up early in the morning and write and do all this stuff. So for me, that was my tomorrow. That was my day of reckoning. It was like, look, if you really want to do this and you want to be a really healthy person, you have to take those steps, whatever it is you want to do in your life. And I just want to check to make sure that Charles McFall is still with me.
I always with you, whether you can see me or not.
Well, then please, my throat hurts. Can you give us your thoughts on all this stuff?
I don't get up before the sunrise, because if the sun's not up, God's not up. It's not healthy.
All right. Thank you for chiming with that. You're sounding really echoey and loud on that.
If you could see me right now. No, I don't. I'm in a very non-zen place right this second. How about that?
That's fine. All right, we're going to press on then. Now, sometimes you'll have a big snafu, like me going to the gym, and they're saying, oh no, we're not open. You can't come in here, and maybe that would be enough to stall you in what you want to do. Or sometimes you'll start your radio show that you've been looking forward to doing, and you're watching the time tick away, and you're going, what's going on? And suddenly you realize that for some reason, the other half of your show is not there. And it's a mechanical reason. And that could throw you, that train wreck could destroy the whole show, but it's not going to. This is a live show. Live things happen. So,
as opposed to a dead show where dead things happen, I guess. Right.
Well, having that, I was flopping and twitching there for a while, but, because of our previous failures, when we were doing the show for the first time live last year, I knew that, if he's not here, I'm here. I'm in it to win it, as we learned last week. So I'm going to do this show by myself. And realizing, too, that not only am I without my partner, but I'm also without anybody able to call in, because Skype was down for me. It's like, I think the problem was definitely on my end. Skype was down, and it was like, okay, I'm going to just be talking for an hour. Oh, good. But that didn't, that's not a reason to hold back on everything. That's not a reason to say, hey, look, I don't want to do this thing that I keep telling myself I want to do. And there's a lot of reasons why we all wait. But before we launch into that, I want to throw, since Skype is working, I'm going to launch into the phone number, which is 813-413-7133. If you want to give a call to just, pat us on the back and say everything's going to be all right, that would be fine. Or if you want to talk about yesterday you said tomorrow, that would be great. So we'd appreciate your call.
Did you ever watch that campy Fox TV show, When Animals Attack, back in the late 90s, early 2000s?
When Animals Attack? No, I've never done that.
Well, I never actually watched it, but it was a collection of videos of when animals attack, and it's all wild animals and stuff caught on video, and people being stupid. And as you were wrapping up the issues with Skype, and I was sitting there, and I call the bear for a reason, and it's not because I'm gay and chubby and hairy. It's because I have...
There's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not me. I have teeth, and somebody's like, ooh, we should put a voyeuristic camera in the bear's den. It's like, yeah. No, it'd be When Animals Attack, too, because I was, like, hitting every button, checking everything, and I don't know, man. That's a very quick hot button with me, is the technical issues when we're live. I was like, I shall breathe now. I might have to crack into a beer, but I'll be okay. We're back. Because I was done.
Back here.
I was done.
We're wow.
Yeah,
I'm looking like I'm really hot on a mic.
You're just egotistical and think you're hot on everything.
That's right, baby. That's right. Even tonight, when I am flopping and twitching, I am still doing that.
See, everybody, this is Universe speaking. Everybody needs to call in and tell our Mordant Mod to practice what he preaches. The Universe is speaking. You do not belong outside of the bear's den. You belong here at your desk doing the show with me. The Universe has spoken.
You know what? I think you're correct, sir. I think that is where I need to be. So I'm going to have to work on that.
See, now you have to work on a lead-in, because I set it up to where you can be like, I don't think so. I don't think what the Universe is saying. And then people would have called in, which is what you want.
I don't think that that's what the Universe is saying. I don't think that that's supposed to be like that at all.
There you go.
So if you have any, if you don't believe that, 813-413-7133. I want to just apologize to everybody who's listening to this on podcast, because you're sitting back there going, what the hell are they talking about?
It'll be a shorter podcast. We'll cut out the crap. We'll leave enough so you know there was an issue, and then we'll cut out all the in between.
The magic of digital.
Yeah. So I hate editing, but I think this one deserves it. It's there.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. So yesterday you said tomorrow is what you're leading in with.
Yeah. And I gave my little story, my little gym story, and all that. And have you had anything like that where you weren't sure about moving forward with something, and then it was like, nope, today's the day. We're doing this.
Oddly enough, is my motorcycle. I wasn't procrastinating. I think it was the spending money, because we're going to get into the book and this and that and the other. I've got the soundbite pulled up, whatever. But I've been working on my motorcycle, getting it fixed up for the year, and I'm very excited about it. And for some reason, I had to order a part. I had to buy a part, and I just kept putting that off. And I really think it was the spending the money part. Because every time I'd go out and see the sunshine and see people on their bikes, I really want to be on my bike, and I can't. But yeah, I did. I put it on, and finally I said, you know what, today's the day. I'm just going to order the part, and it was the right part, and everything was good. But I just had that I don't know, fear of it not working. I don't know. I did put that off.
Well, we have a caller in right now. Shadow 42 has just called in. Say hello, Shadow 42.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, welcome to the circus, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm procrastinating, actually.
Really? What are you putting off on?
Music tracks. I should technically have my studio up and running. I've got an electronic CD that's coming up, and I got 2 tracks to finish for that, and I've got another collaboration I'm doing with a guy who's actually in Italy, so we're doing this across the net, which is kind of interesting, but we're almost done with that, and it's just one of those nights where I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow.
Well, that's because you wanted to listen to the other side of live.
Well, there is that, actually, because I do tend to forget and go, oh, that was on, wasn't it? And I just missed it by like 5 minutes. So, speaking of, real quick, on the Musical Blades front, we will see you guys apparently in Black Rock.
Yes, sir, you will. We will be back in, in the Michigan area. I hear it's closer to Kalamazoo, so I'm excited about that because that's actually where I'm staying at when I'm up there. But, yeah, are you doing all 3 weekends?
No, we're going to do just one, just a pirate weekend.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll see how that goes.
Whatever. You're going to let us sweat that out.
It's a 15-hour drive for me.
Yeah, well, we're coming all the way from Georgia.
Yeah, but you do this for a living. I have to come back for a 40-hour week job.
Okay. Then you're right. And actually, 15 hours is an extreme amount to go do that and then have to go back to your job. I've done 12-hour trips for the weekend before, but 15, that really is in it to win it as far as what you're doing for your music.
Yeah, and most of my friends tell me I'm nuts because I have to take, I'll take time off to work to do that because this 15 hours is just too far for me to push in the night, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you guys are talking about procrastinating. Apparently, according to my girlfriend, I'm a master at this. But sometimes you just get in those things. You're just like, well, like tonight, I'm like, I really should be working on all this, but I'll do it tomorrow.
What is it that you do that gets you back to what you're supposed to be doing?
Normally, like, eventually it comes to a head, and I'm just like, I have got to get this done. And once I open up in this case, once I sit down and open up my studio and plug in the keyboard and get everything rolling, then I'll sit there for, in the next few days, and I'll work on all my tracks and get them done. The whole time telling myself, you could have done this a week ago and been done with this already.
Right.
Normally I don't know that I can't really say that there's a specific catalyst other than I will finally go, okay, you wasted enough time. Let's get going. Especially on projects where there's no deadline. I'm really bad about it if there's not a deadline per se that I have to work under. Then I find that in my own admission, I'm really bad about kind of procrastinating getting something done.
So even though this is something to do with your, what I believe is your passion, having to do with your music, you're still putting it off.
Absolutely. I absolutely, and I agree with you because music is definitely my passion. And in this case, this is my first full-length CD release for my electronic stuff, my kind of what I call my weird quasi-ambient stuff. And it's going to be released through an actual company called Hollow Sun Records, but I don't have a deadline. He's like, well, when you get it done, let me know. There's absolutely no rush. So, and I'm down to the last 2 tracks, and I don't know if part of me is like getting that, because this is the first, what I would consider big release of my electronic music. I mean, there's a lot of it out there, but it's a track here, a track there. This is my first, foray into solo CD-linked project. So, I mean, maybe some of it is I'm trying to put off that being judged, so to speak, because when you put a project out there, like when Musical Blades put out a new CD, are people going to like this? There's always that iffiness of putting out a new project and not knowing whether or not people are going to, dig it or get into it or understand it or whatever. So I'm just, and that's just me kind of trying to rationalize the fact that I'm just putting off doing my work.
Do you think that you're dragging your feet on purpose there then because you're afraid of what's going to happen at the end of this and stuff?
No, I mean, sometimes I think that, I mean, like I said, I think that may too. And then another part of me says that's just me rationalizing the fact that I'm lazy and, and putting off getting it done.
Well, maybe,
right.
Is it maybe that you don't love what you're doing with it?
No, I don't think so. I'm actually very happy with this project. I am nervous about it because it's a little different even from, like, the tracks that I've done for this. Because how this came about is I've done tracks for this company, his software company, who puts out software synthesizers, and I've done demo tracks for that. And that's why he approached me to do a full-length CD for his record label. And this particular project has a combination of stuff that's like that, and then stuff that's almost polar opposite of that. So there's some nerves there about whether or not it's going to fit, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, it's just kind of this. I want to say it's just nerves, and then it could just be I'm lazy and I'm just putting it off.
Well, you've done all the other stuff. You've done the rest of the work. You've done the rest of the tracks. How many other tracks are there?
It's 14 total. I think.
So did you drag your feet on that stuff, or is it just here at the very end that you're doing it?
It seems to be mostly at the end, because I got on a roll and cranked them out, and they were coming out pretty quickly.
So it's not
that I got
easy.
So, yeah, and I got towards the end, and I found I started procrastinating a little bit more and more. And so, like I said, I find myself wondering if it's because I'm nervous about putting it out. And, you know, because being an artist, you know how that is. You want people to dig what you're doing. You know, if you guys, for example, in the Tortuga Twins, if you want people to laugh and dig what you guys are doing, and I don't know if you go through that when you guys put out a new show or something like that, you have that, we're going to put this out there, and then you have that moment of, is the crowd going to accept this?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Right. A rock girl in the chat room says music is a very personal thing, and some of the musicians I know are afraid of being rejected. So it could be that. It's just like, this is your baby, and while you have it in your hands, you know, it's still possible that everybody's going to love it and it's going to be great. But as soon as you put it out there, it's out of your hands and out of your control, and then the reality of what it becomes, it may set in, good or bad, and you're just nervous about that.
Right. Absolutely. And I do have some nerves about this because, I mean, I think it's because it's my first, there's 55 minutes worth of music in this project, you know, and I've never done anything this lengthy before.
Right. So imagine what's going to happen if this thing is actually very spectacular and everybody loves it. And are you afraid of having to do more work?
No, I would love to do more work. I would love to make this my full-time, music. I mean, not necessarily the electronic music or, you know, the Blades, the pirate stuff, but just music in general. I would love to make my full-time job.
Right. Then I think that then what it probably is what you thought it was, is that you're afraid to let go of it and see what is it going to be. So, but you know what, man? My advice to you is you are a musician. The first 12 tracks did great. Trust yourself. Trust what you do. And you know, any mistakes you make from this, you're going to learn from it and finish it so that we can all enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll have to get that done. It won't take that much longer. It's just, you know, like I said, I've been putting it off, and I put other projects in front of it, knowing the whole time, you know, you got to get this done. You know, eventually he's going to ask for it and say, are you ready?
Right.
And, you know, so it's just one of those things. And you're right. I have to quit procrastinating and find that motivation, because unfortunately I found too that when you are procrastinating, really there's no one that can really make you stop that except you. You know, you finally have to come to that spot within yourself that says, okay, I'm going to get this done, and I'm just going to move forward with this. And with this project, eventually, you know, at some point I just have to bite the bullet and put it out there, and what happens, happens.
Right. Well, I think you're going to do that, and go ahead and pimp yourself out right now. Where can people find you and potentially find this project so that they know that you finished it?
The project will be released on Hollow Sun Records. It's a fairly new. It's a company out of England. He's got quite a few different ambient type artists. It's what I would term a retro sci-fi sounding stuff. Things like synthesizers made from consoles from nuclear submarines and that sort of thing. My electronic music can be found at soundcloud.com//Shadow42. And, of course, the pirate music is musicalblades.com. So.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much, Shadow42, for calling in. We appreciate that very, very much, and you making yourself available and sharing some of the things that you procrastinate about.
Hey, man, no problem.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. I'm sure I'll talk to you before Black Rock, but I'll definitely see you there.
All right, Bo.
All right. See ya. Very nice. And this time I actually just hung up on one of you and not both of you. So
moving forward, there you go.
That's right. Now he covered a lot of stuff and brought up an interesting point about why we wait on certain things. Why do we hold off and saying no, I'll do it tomorrow? A lot of it is fear. You know, fear of failure. I think his was definitely a fear of failure right there.
Do you want me to hit the button?
I want you to. Oh yeah, you want to get into that right now?
Yeah, might as well. I think it rolls into it very, very nicely.
All right, let's do that. Hit the button.
Success freaks. Success freaks. Success freaks.
There it is. Again, the jingle that everybody loves, Success Freaks. And of course, on Success Freaks, we are covering a chapter a month from the book, Double Your Income, Doing What You Love by Raymond Aaron. A book that sounds like it's all about money, but so far we've discovered it's not about it at all. It's more about just moving forward in your own life and achieving your goals, determining what you want and moving forward with that. And this month, Chapter 5 is about procrastination.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Boom, boom, boom.
We'll get to that in a minute. First off.
Oh, yeah? You got something?
No, not really. I just thought it'd be funny.
Oh, I get it, because you're procrastinating and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Although I did finish the chapter, and I highlighted, as I always do, I highlighted some of the high points of what I like. Now, first, before you jump into the book, I want to talk about, you come in here every week, or every, you know, when you're in Georgia, you come in every week, yes, and Wednesdays are work day. And yes, we have a long list of things that we want to get done, that we try to get as much done as possible, right?
Huge list, absolutely.
And you tell me, what is the thing that you're not wanting to do? What is the thing that you're not putting off? That's probably the thing we need to do. I forget exactly how you phrased it, but I'd like for you to phrase it, maybe, if you can remember how you phrased it. It sounded like something you normally tell yourself. It's one of your affirmations. So what is it you were saying about that?
Well, first, before I get into that, and let's put a pin in that, and you know, this chapter on procrastination, I just want to ask you, when did you read it?
As you were talking to Shadow. Multitasker, full academic.
That's awesome. I think it's very What I like to do when I have stuff I have to do, whether it's for the other side of live or Tortuga Twins or whatever, I make a list for myself, because it's the only way that I'm going to keep a hold of all the things that I need to do. And there are things it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I'll number, not only, I'll write down everything, and then I'll put numbers by, this is what you should do first, this is what you do second. Because otherwise I'll just kind of hem and haw and not know where to go. But if I have it's being of sound mind and body, if I number my list, I'll look at it and go, no, I said this was most important. Whether it's time sensitive, will take me furthest in life, or it just needs to get done because I haven't done it yet, whatever the reason. And often I will look at my list and go, okay, what do I least want to do? What am I avoiding? Because often that is the thing that is the most important, whether it's because I have to talk to somebody or deal with some issue or begin a project that's like, oh, I'll never get through this. You know, I have to hit those things, and that will usually get my number one. I use it almost like a radar, almost like Spidey sense. This is the most important thing for me to do. So whenever we're in the studio together, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, what do we least want to do? Well, that's probably the most important. I don't want to work on our resume for this, or I don't want to do, you know, that thing for that. And that's the thing that, whether we've been putting it off for so long, and so it's high time we do it, or it's just something we have to get through so that we can get to the good stuff. That's how I set my list up like that.
And I find that interesting, because reading this chapter, his rule is do only what you love. And it's a very interesting thing, because I took what you said in an interestingly negative way, honestly. And I emphasize I took it negatively, because you're always like, well, what do you not want to do? That's probably the important one. And I don't think I work that way, but I could be wrong, because a lot of times when we're in the situation, we think we are one way when really we're another. But I was thinking, I don't really put off anything on the list. I just see things I think I can get done right now. And I'm kind of that way with my game time, okay? If I have all afternoon, I'm going to pick my epic game and sit down and play it, right? But if I think I only have maybe an hour or an unknown amount of time, either I won't pick up my game or I'll pick up the one that I know I can just jump in and jump out of, and it's not such a commitment or an involvement there. And that's kind of how I view my list. So when you were saying that about and that's probably the important one for putting it off, I thought it was kind of negative. And I look at it now, I don't think it's negative. It didn't sound negative there. But I did find it interesting in the chapter. The first thing I highlighted is, here's the crux. This is a quote from the book. What is the real problem? Here's the crux of the entire chapter. The problem is this. You are attempting to do what you do not love. And if I put off something, if I procrastinate, I found that rang true immediately to me. It's like, hey, the thing, going back to my motorcycle story, I wanted my motorcycle so badly. I really wish somebody would just come in and fix it. What I didn't love about it was spending a large chunk of money on myself. That's what I kept putting off, because I hate that. As much as I like getting things and buying things, I really have a very precarious balance with I have to overdo for my wife and family before I do a little for myself. And it just seemed like a large chunk of money for a little part, for something that only I get enjoyment out of. And that's why I put it off. I don't love spending money on myself.
Right. Well, I think for me, we're talking about the difference between procrastination and dealing with something that's outside your comfort zone. Because when I talk about things on that list, a lot of it is just, I don't want to do that because you're not comfortable doing it. Now, I agree with you. The problem is you're attempting to do what you do not love. So, and I agree with it. It rang true with me as well. I was like, that's precisely right. That's the way I feel about it. But there's also those, you can't confuse that with things that, that it's going to bring you towards doing something that you love, but it's just kind of outside your comfort zone. Or it's just like, it's a lot of work and I just don't want to do that right now. For me, it was, I now have some meditations that I recorded at Dow Garden, solely because my friend Serena Stone came up and said, look, you're here. They have a recording studio. Why don't you let them record this for you? And then you can use it. And at first I said, I don't want to do it. We'll do it later, some other time. And then I was like, you're right. And we recorded it. And I spent a lot of time working with the Thai sound engineers, mostly trying to figure out, okay, this means this, but I want you to do this. And when I got through it all, I'm so happy now that I have those meditations are all recorded and anybody can download them if they want. So I think there's a difference between that. However, those things that trying to do something you don't love, we talked about this either last week or 2 weeks ago. I can write. I write very well, and yet I drag my feet to do it. So I kind of procrastinate with that. So maybe that's not one of my special talents. And so how do I get around this procrastination so I get the job done? So I agree with you. In certain areas.
Yeah, sure. I get it. And we're kind of definitely, this is one area. This is one area that we're not really lining up eye to eye. We're totally seeing it in different points of view. And I think it's because we attack life in different points of view. And I find it interesting about, you said, well, how do I get around the procrastination? I kind of have that same effect, but I totally think of it in a different way. I never think of it, and I'm not trying to say I'm better, and I can already hear it in my head, and it's going to come out like I'm saying my way is better, and I don't want it to sound that way. So, jury, strike that from the record. Ignore this comment of guilt, okay? But I think of it as, what can I do that I love that will get this done? Because for me, it's not about getting around. If I try to get around, I'm like, I'll flat out tell my wife, I just don't care right now. I just don't want to. I don't want to go and cut the grass. I don't like getting that sweaty nastiness feeling. It takes up a chunk of my day. And honestly, it doesn't bother me till it gets up really ugly and hot. I don't want to do it. I don't love it. And my wife, who loves to have a clean yard, she goes, well, I'll go cut the grass. And stupid messages in my head kicked in, like, no, that makes me feel bad because I'm the man and you shouldn't have to go out there and mow the grass. And finally she goes, look, you babysit the kids and I'll go mow the grass. And I'll be happy and you'll be happy and you can shut up. I went, all right. And I still feel a little bad because I feel like I should be doing it, but at the same time, I love being with my kids. It's a great time for me to watch the kids, get them away from her, let her go do, because she wants the grass cut. She wants it nice and clean. She doesn't mind doing it herself.
And maybe it gives her a break from the kids, too.
Right.
She's like, some alone time.
And she came up with it. I didn't come up with a way to do what I love, but it's those situations that I procrastinated because I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want her to do it. You know? And you're going to get stuck in a rock and a hard place, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. One of the quotes from the book is, procrastination lives in the area called you don't love it, but you try to do it yourself. If you don't love it, delegate it.
I highlighted that as well. I thought that was awesome. The cure to procrastination is getting help.
Yep.
You know, and we trade that off all the time, you and I. You're like, oh, I don't like doing this. What can I do for you? Or I mean, you love doing pictures. If I don't. I mean, my mind just looks at a graphic and it goes, dude, if you even step towards that, I'm going to shut you down and have a seizure. You know, it will not grasp. I can do audio all day long. I can do people all day long. I know the ins and outs of people, and I can command armies. But if I try to make a graphic, I want to throw something out a window. And I'll call you up and like, hey, I got this idea. And 20 minutes later, because me, it had taken 3 hours of struggle, 20 minutes later of you shooting me doing something else, you're like, boom, here's this. Boom, here's that. What do you think? What should I change? I'm like, wow, that's really awesome and quick because you love it. So I found help. I found you.
Yeah. One of the other quotes that I really like is, procrastination is the self-defense mechanism that correctly keeps you from doing something you shouldn't be doing in your life because you are incompetent at it or can't stand doing it or don't like it or whatever. So it just kind of, procrastination is there to let you know, hey, look, this is something you don't love. So instead of doing that, why don't you get somebody either to do it for you or, and I missed this the first time I read it. I always thought, oh, just get somebody to do it for you. Either get somebody to do it for you or get somebody to help you with it, which means that, you know, you could mow half the lawn and she could mow the other half. Although it did sound like she wanted just to have a break from the kids.
Right. Now, Rock Girl brings up a question that's actually brought up in the book. What if you're on the bottom of the totem pole and there's no one to delegate? Well, that's what our Mordant McFall was just saying. You get help. There's some things I delegate to, and Rock Girl's one of them. I got to where I wanted to love social media so much. I got in and listened to Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk, and you catch that passion, and I understood how to work better, and I wanted to love it, and I can't, man. I like sharing my personal life with it to the world. So if you find me on Instagram and you think it's just my kids, that's what it's there for me. Go check it out. It shows you my life as a podcaster, as a radio guy. I don't just do radio all the time. I have a life, and I'm sharing that willingly with you. It catches my eye, and I want to share that with you. So don't back off. If you think it's just personal, it's not. I'll show other stuff too.
Now, where can they find you on Instagram? That photo app that's on iTunes,
on everything.
Was Android.
How do you say it? Like Twitter is at bear crawling or is bear crawling?
Just something you can find
bear crawling. Yeah, it's bear crawling.
Yeah.
So you can find, and it's Mordant World for you, correct?
That's right. That's right.
So I share my life through social media because I found that outlet. But I cannot for the life of me make it a professional thing. And I did it because I had to. And I asked for help. I just put it out to the podcasting universe. Like, I need help with this. And Rock Girl stepped up and said, I don't mind. I'll do it. And a lot of the cool stuff you see on Facebook, and from the artwork at the head of it to the most of the questions and the posts, is her. And I went, okay, I can turn this over. And I found that once I took the burden, the crap I don't like off, and she took it and she enjoyed it, I was able to get in there and really become more of the social media guy that I wanted to be. I'm still not her, and I'm not going to try to be. But I can get in there and I can find a picture for you to comment on. And I can put out a little post here and there. And it freed me up to find something I loved in it.
Yep, I agree. And you know what? You have Rock Girl. I have Sharon Watson. I was talking to her today, and she works with the Tortuga Twins a lot. She works with me in Mordant World a lot, and she's not really a personal assistant. And then it struck me today because she's really actually done social media so much and become so good at it. There's things that I defer to her and go, well, how do you do this again? Will you look at this? She is my social media personal assistant, and we're looking for a word for it as of today, but I think she is mine, and I believe also the Tortuga Twins. Well, we might as well just say that she's our social media personal assistant. And it's taken we're able to do a lot more because she helps us. We were able to delegate stuff, and she's learned actually to do things better than we could have by using her. So very happy to have that, to have delegated that instead of procrastinating that.
And it's not just delegating. It's fun. It really breaks down to finding help, because Rock Girl was talking about how, what if you're on the bottom topo? Well, I love the story that Raymond Aaron tells of his teenage daughter didn't give a crap about cleaning the kitchen, right?
Right.
And so ultimately, he found something that she loves. She loved doing laundry, so he traded with her. I'll clean up after your mess in the kitchen, and because I want it clean, and you do the laundry. And there's a lot of that going around in my house. It took us a while to get to that point. But finally, because your first thing is, I want this clean, why aren't you doing it like I do it? But we really found a balance of what I can do for my wife and what she can do for me. And what she loves to do, she likes to wash dishes and clean laundry. And we say that's her coffee, because she'll get up in the morning with one eye open and push the kids out of the way and start washing dishes. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. And I realize that's her coffee. That's how she wakes up. Whereas I want to sit down, not be bothered, and drink my coffee and talk on the radio, because that's what I do every Monday through Friday. So that's how she wakes up, and I wake up talking to people. And then we find that, well, she doesn't like to take the trash out, so I'll do that. She wants time away from the kids, and I have no problem stepping up and doing that. You find that balance, Rock Girl, and everybody else that's out there. You find somebody to help you. I mean, Shadow. Now, it's still his baby. He can't take this advice, I don't think, but I'm going to throw it out there, and maybe he can. But I found that the second time I interviewed the Tortuga twins, 2.5 hours of just solid conversation for an hour-long show. So
right.
I had to send it to one of my podcasting friends and like, look, I need your help. I need honest ears. I need you to cut out the stuff that doesn't need to be here. And he was able to whittle it down. And you just ask for help. You trade. What are some of the things that you have traded in the past, Mr. Mon?
For me, I gotta think. Well, obviously, just doing the graphic stuff that I did with you was definitely something I was able to. I mean, you. I mean, it is our show, but you edit it. You put it together, and even before it was our show. Even when I was doing this on my own, as far as just doing the interview with Mordant World Radio, you were taking that, and just things like that. You find a way to trade things. If you don't, you can either pay somebody, you can trade money, or you can trade your ability. Sometimes it's just something simple as, hey, look, I want to do a commercial about my podcast. Will you lend your voice to it? Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Different things like that. Sometimes it's swag as well. Hey, will you do this for me? And I'll throw some, Tortuga swag at you or whatever. Or I'll go mow your lawn. Or while you do this, I'll babysit your kids. I remember staying with a family in Minnesota, and they were very happy that I was there, and they have 2 kids. And I'm like, why don't you guys go out on a date and I'll watch your kids? And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And that was when I changed my first poopy diaper. So you find things. Those are just a couple of things that I've done and I'm able to do.
Here we go, if you don't mind.
Nope, go ahead.
One of the frequently asked questions in the book itself, I'm going to read it pretty much verbatim. It addresses this right here. I am unable to delegate. I don't think this applies to me. And Raymond Aaron responds in the book, there are many creative ways to delegate. You can pick a person, a company, a product, or a service. And think about this. When you order a pizza, you've delegated food preparation to somebody else. When you use somebody to do your taxes or use software to do your taxes, you've delegated it to them as well. When you leave your car at a dealership, when you hop into a taxi, you're getting the point here. When you ask your mom for help, when you call me and ask me for help, or say, hey, would you mind? And I do it all the time, and I had to learn to do it better because I carried the weight of the nation on my shoulders for so long, and it got to the point where I had to find some help, and I didn't want to just dump it on somebody. I mean, I actually gave Rock Girl some more stuff to do today that entails chaos and coffee, and I had to teach her how to do it. But I said, look, I want to keep you as busy as you want to be, but also half busy. Because who wants to dump everything on somebody else? Then you're just lazy, and we don't want to run that, do we?
No, absolutely not. Let's get into, since we're getting close to the end of the show, let's get into the action steps for this chapter, procrastination, curing procrastination forever. It says, make a list of 10 tasks you do not love and which you typically procrastinate. Give yourself some time to think about this. I'm sure that you'll come up with it. Or just have your list with you throughout the day, and I'm like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. From that list, pick one task you perceive would be easiest to eliminate from your life. And then it says, for the next step, think of an actual person who could do all or part of that task with you or for you. Alternatively, think of a type of person, like a handyman, a bookkeeper, a housekeeper, neighborhood boy, etc., who could do all or part of it with you or for you. Think of a computer program or a website that could do all of that. Think of a company that could do all or part of it with you or for you. Then the following step is contact the person or company or service you identified in the last step and ask them to do all or part of that task you selected in the first step. Do whatever follow-up is needed to ensure that they get the job done, which means don't just turn this over to them and then expect it to be done. That's irresponsible on your part.
Right.
Ultimately, you are responsible. Like when I run our merchandise for the Tortuga Twins, and I have managers at the carts, and if they don't do something, I can say, oh, he didn't do it. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if he did it or not. I'm responsible. I should have followed up and made sure they did that. So this is not an excuse to do nothing and let this slide, just to be a slacker with it either.
Right. I have a thought on that.
Yep, fire away.
It's. I already forgot it. Dang it. No, delegating. One, we feel like we're uber responsible for everything, right? I mean, I built the Bear Calling Nation, and it doesn't matter who says what, where, how they do it. I feel responsible. One of the things along delegation is dumping the responsibility. It's redefining the relationship. It's going, how much responsibility do I have on myself just because I think I need it and it's not really real? I mean, I've taught Rock Girl how to do things. I taught BC and Alex. Amanda's here. So this is South Road Center's Alex and Amanda. Alex started wanting to learn how to edit his own shows. He started off in the nation wanting to do all this stuff, but we took it one step at a time. And I just got distracted, so I kept editing his shows and producing his shows and publishing his shows. And I finally looked around and went, oh, my God, I got to get some stuff off my plate because I'm getting buried. And I went, well, why am I doing this? Alex said he wanted to do this. Why am I not teaching him to do this and freeing up my plate? That's not delegation. That's saying, yes, here, have your own responsibility because I don't need it. I love our timer. But you see what I'm saying? We drop responsibility that we don't need.
Right. I was going to say, I don't know if we have actually 5 minutes. I'm showing it 4 minutes and 13 seconds.
Stop it.
I want to jump right back to yesterday you said tomorrow, because this is one of my favorite rants and I didn't get to do it. Time is a thief. If you keep putting things off to someday, you won't have enough time. You're making your day-to-day more important than your dreams, so be careful with that. There will never be enough time. You say, someday I'll write that book. There will never be enough time to write your book. There will never be enough time to learn Spanish, to become a public speaker. Whatever this dream is, there will never be enough time. You have to clear that space. You have to create that space so that you can do it. Otherwise, you're never going to do it. And you're fooling yourself, and you're lying to yourself. Your friends know that you're full of it. You might as well take that on as well. There's never going to be enough time. You have to slide stuff around and create that space and do it. And don't think that I'm not listening to this as well, as I woke up at 5:55 in the morning and then went to the gym at 6:30. Maybe I need to get up and do my writing that early, or go to the gym early so I can write later in the day or whatever. I have to create that space, and that's all I'm saying about that. Yesterday you said tomorrow. Guess what day it is? It's tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
And where will you be tomorrow? Not here working.
That's right. I'll be here in Gastonia, North Carolina, working here.
Fun procrastination sometimes is last night I was on playing Borderlands. I was really killing time until my wife came home. She'd been gone all day. I was waiting to see her and making sure that the baby didn't need something. And so I'm playing to unwind, and I see Darth Mordant pop up, and Darth Mordant wants to play Borderlands. I'm like, as much as I'd love to do that, I have to procrastinate that because all my attention will be focused here, and I really need to save it over there. So sometimes you got to deny yourself the good stuff. Yeah,
that's called artful procrastination. So put off the procrastinating if you can. Hey, let's start pimping ourselves out. We are live every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time at mordantworld.com/NAS. And, of course, the NAS stands for No Agenda Stream. Those of you who are listening to the podcast, feel free to tune in and hear some of the live shenanigans that happen here. And, of course, if you are listening to us live, you can find these podcasts at theothersideoflive.com, and we're also available on iTunes.
And you can find me every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern right here on No Agenda Stream. 9 to 10 is Chaos and Coffee. Coming soon is the Facebook. I'm getting that built up and doing it proper. And, of course, Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, I do Bear Crawling Live, which is a ride-along with alcohol and swearing. So it's just a nice release, get you ready for the weekend. But it is. It's a high-energy thing where I'm really trying to figure out a great way to brand it, but I want to dub it, it's one step towards the weekend. Because we're not going to get drunk. You're not going to be hungover. You're going to be ready to go to work on Friday. But what you do is you get a taste of the weekend. It's an instant gratification. You're going to taste the weekend on Thursday night. So come check it out.
Get a shot of the weekend.
There you go. Come get a shot of the weekend on Thursday nights.
Now, you can also find me at mordantworld.com. You can find Charles at bearcrawlingnation.com. And we are both on Instagram taking pictures of our life. He is, of course, Bear Crawling. I am, of course, Mordant World.
All right.
That's it. Yeah, you want to email us, Tosol at theothersideoflive.com, or just visit us on facebook.com/BCNTosol.
There you go, brother. Take us home.
That's it. This is Mordant
and the Angry Bear.
So raise your
Children Catchers.
So raise your glasses to